Thursday morning. Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is Jeremy coming at you once again with Redtired Podcast, and I'm here with my buddy, my pal, my bestest friend in the whole wide, well, in South Carolina anyway, Jacob Valdez. Good morning, Jacob.
How you doing, man? It's been crazy. Super Tuesday market was at bear buy. Smart people probably made some money.
I made some money.
Yes, dumb people probably lost money because they got scared and sold off like crazy.
Well, did you hear what happened with the little popular trading app Robinhood?
No.
On Monday, Robinhood was down completely. Didn't work at all. Customers sales. Well, the Robinhood customers missed the biggest bounce back in like I think in market history. I think since like the Great Depression. Mm-hmm. It was a huge bounce back. And a lot of people lost a lot of money because Robinhood was down. Well, so Robinhood, they came back, they got everything fixed. They sent out an email that night and they said, okay, everything is back up and running. We're real sorry about that. You should be good to go. Well, the next day, Robinhood crashed again. It's insane. Like there's people on Twitter that are talking about class action lawsuits. And I'm kind of like, Robinhood has an opportunity here, like on one side of it. I really don't want to see a class action lawsuit come against them because that's kind of a frivolous, pointless endeavor for most people except for the lawyers. The lawyers are the ones that always win. However, Robinhood, knowing this, should probably go ahead and make it right with all their customers. I get it. It's going to cost them millions to really be able to recoup all these lost funds because people couldn't close trades. And I was one of them. I think I lost about $150 because of the outage. And granted, $150 isn't much, but you know what? I want it. I want it back because I would have made money on my trade had I been able to close it when I would have. Mm-hmm. So
I think that's what Robinhood's court. It kind of teaches people to have different avenues of the market. Don't put all your ducks in one little, or all your eggs in one little basket.
Yeah, using multiple brokers.
Yeah, they're free now, thanks to Robinhood,
not all
other platforms, but
not all of them are free. There are some of them that still charge a premium, but you get premium routing, so you actually get better fills, but that's a different episode for another time.
Yeah. And then Super Tuesday, the burn.
Yeah, so about that burn, by the way. If it burns, you should go to a doctor and get that checked out. So here's the deal. My estimation, breaking down all these numbers, I'm a little bit shocked and a little bit surprised because you know who won Super Tuesday?
Yep, unfortunately, the ex-VP.
No, Donald Trump won. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. Donald Trump is the winner of Super Tuesday because Joe Biden came out of nowhere. And I mean, everybody was losing hope for Joe Biden. They're like, this guy is crazy. He's sniffing children and women. And like, this is not
drinks
the guy.
A lot, slurs.
Yeah. He doesn't even know where he's at. This is my wife. Oh wait, no, you're my wife and I'm your husband. And he got his speech all messed up again. It may have been a joke. It may have not been. Who really knows? Mike Bloomberg.
Does he have TBI?
Onset of dementia, I think, is the accusation. The guy's 80 years old. So, I mean, duh. But so anyway, let's explore a little bit of this because Joe Biden is right now in the lead with the delegates. And of course, by the time you hear this, it will have changed a little bit because California is still counting their votes because they do mail-in ballots and, all sorts of illegal BS that nobody, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so Joe Biden is leading as of right now with 453 delegates to Bernie Sanders in second place at 382. And Elizabeth Warren, for whatever reason, is still in it. She's got 50 delegates. And Mike Bloomberg, who just dropped out this morning, has 44 delegates. For some reason, and I don't know if many of the voters maybe just didn't get the memo.
I think Bloomberg only won Samoan.
Yeah, well, he did win American Samoa. That was $500 million, and all you got was a couple of votes on that island.
Yeah.
Good job, dude. But the Democrats didn't seem to get the memo about Pete Buttigieg or Amy Klobuchar or Tulsi Gabbard not being in the race anymore because they all won delegates as well.
They still voted for people that are not running.
Yes, dead serious.
That
That
tells you
really
how
happened.
uneducated these voters are.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I
Maybe
mean,
if I vote for him, he maybe jump right back in. It doesn't work that way, ladies and gentlemen.
no. And so I'm wondering at this point where some of these delegates are going to go, because Bloomberg, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, and Gabbard all have delegates that now need to get redistributed, which is kind of funny because that's the way that Bernie Sanders would probably enjoy it the most, take from these guys and give it to somebody else. So what's your thoughts on Joe Biden pulling out this huge, amazing, like from nowhere
How many
victory?
dead people voted for him?
All of them, probably.
Yeah. Dude, the empire of the DNC, man, they're doing everything they can to keep the burn off the primary, which is crazy. Now here's the tricky thing I'm worried about. What if Byrne doesn't get the primary? Do you think that he'll ruin it that bad, or want it that bad that he'll go and say, you know what, I'm gonna go for independent now and split it?
Nah, he won't. He's not. There's no way, because people, we live in a country where we still don't vote independent. But you walk into any polling place in Texas, the first thing they ask you, Democrat or Republican. You have to pick one. There's no independent, right? So, and that's all over the place. I mean, that's in many different states. It's not just like that in Texas. But if you consider what we're looking at right now, let's break this down and consider, with Joe Biden of all people pulling out to be the front runner. Well, you have to understand that even moderate Democrats, or maybe the milquetoast fence-sitter type Democrats, are sitting right in the middle. They're going like, Bernie Sanders isn't even a Democrat. At least Joe Biden is actually experienced. At least Joe Biden is an actual viable candidate. We don't want crazy. The voters have spoken at this point. They're saying, listen, Bernie's nuts. He's insane. We don't want it.
There's probably all the older Democrats as well now. The millennials.
Oh yeah,
they're only so much in numbers, and
without a doubt,
a lot of them go to these speeches and everything, but a lot of them don't vote.
So look at, well, yeah, and it may need, because they don't have a job, so they don't have to show up anywhere, so it's not a big deal. But you, like, if you look at the election numbers by the numbers, like Texas, for example, because I always use Texas. Texas is my favorite state in the whole wide world. Texas turned out a whole bunch of people for Biden. So all of these blue voters, these Democrats that do exist in Texas, they voted for Biden. Biden won Texas.
Well, we'll see. What candidate do you want to run against Trump? That's the question.
I don't think any of them is really a good choice.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden.
Either way, I think Trump will win. He'll have to dish out some new tactics, and because a lot of these guys, I think they're starting to use his.
Oh yeah, because I mean, Bloomberg tried to essentially recreate everything that Trump was doing in the 2016 election cycle, and it didn't work. And that's kind of funny, because that's something that I want to talk about in the future, is the way that people, they try to take pages out of people's playbooks. Like, they try to mimic, but they, rather than mimicking and taking a few notes out of their page book, they just kind of like rip completely out of it and just go, all right, that worked this one time, therefore it's going to work again and again and again. And it doesn't always work that way. And Bloomberg just found this out the hard way. Now, there is a video also of Bloomberg that just recently came out, and with the whole coronavirus scare, everybody's freaking out about it. Bloomberg went over and grabbed some pizza at one of his campaign rally places while, this whole voting process was going on, and they were having their little blah, blah. Anyway, he went over to grab some pizza, and he started pulling the pizza apart in the video, and then he starts licking his fingers after he ate a little piece of it. And then he puts his fingers back in all over the pizza, fingering it again and pulling some more apart. And I'm sitting here going, like, everybody and their mom is afraid because of the coronavirus, and you just touched everybody's food. Is that the reason you dropped out? I'm starting to wonder at this point.
I don't know. I think he spent a lot more money than Trump, though.
$500 million. That's a lot of dough, man.
You know what you can do with $500 million?
I certainly do, but one thing I wouldn't do is put it into a presidential election or a presidential race or anything like that. That's insane.
And maybe he should have put it towards that coronavirus.
Yeah, you know what? That would have been a very wise thing for him to do. He's like, well, you know what? Rather than running for president and trying to fix all the things, I'm going to go ahead and fund this investment into some research funds and actually use my money for good, like a Bill Gates does.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, he's like, no, I need to be elected president so I can fix these problems. Like, dude,
with other people's money,
you got plenty of money. You don't need to be elected president to start fixing problems. If you really wanted to fix problems and you weren't worried about a legacy, you wouldn't be running for president. You'd be funding the research for this.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. For whatever reason, Elizabeth Warren is still in it.
What is her problem? She's just go away.
Yeah, just go away. Exactly. I don't know what her problem is either, man. It's like she wants to be the first Native American president.
Maybe her husband doesn't want her home. Like, just keep stay out there, honey. Stay out there.
Yeah, that's what it is. They're having troubles at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't know what the hell is her problem. She has to be running out of money. She has to be in debt by now.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, because nobody really backed her. Nobody's really funding her.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump even had
his name that passed that reverend. What's that reverend that ran a while back? The one that wants hate crime against whites.
Al Sharpton?
Yeah. He's still in debt from running for president.
He ran for president? No kidding.
I think a while back ago. I was reading an article saying on Fox News that he's still $1.5 million in debt that he owns to the DNC and some other organizations that lend him money.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't surprise me too much. It really doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on because politics is it's getting really old and really boring.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we talking about today, Jacob?
Well, before we do that, I want to talk about you.
Me?
I want you to share what you've been doing and how you've been making extra side money, and share with our viewers and listeners here what you've been doing, and so they can get hints like, hey, I could be doing that too.
Well, it's easy, actually. I've been building basically more YouTube channels for other people. I held a conversation.
And how did this start? Like, just by a normal conversation with somebody that needed help, or that kind of saw our podcast? And
it originally started, I guess, when Ashley got into real estate, and she happened to be talking about me editing videos at one point, and one of her coworkers needed a video put together for a house that she was selling, and she asked me if I could go and film and make a video. I'm like, yeah, sure, of course, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so she liked my work so much that she ended up paying me to do another one down the road when she was trying to get this other house sold. And now at some point I just kind of became her go-to video guy. I'm like, all right, cool. That's fine with me. So I used the funds that she gave me to buy a video camera. And it's not an amazing camera, but it shoots at 1080p at 60 frames per second. What more do you need? And so I'm going to be using that video camera now to do more business, because she's been basically bragging about me to the rest of the team. And that has kind of spiked some interest in creating more YouTube videos for other agents and the broker themselves. And it's funny because a lot of people don't actually think about this kind of stuff, but you've got free advertising and free marketing at your disposal. Mm-hmm. So I actually sat down with my wife and talked to her about this before. And I said, let's get you going on a YouTube channel, because what we're going to do is we were going to take an idea that you had brought up to us about another real estate agent in another area who goes around and he just basically films what's going on in that area for people who might be moving to that area.
Yeah, like schools, upcoming businesses that are coming in, because sometimes too much business could hurt the real estate market.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that affect the market. And and so we thought, well, we're just going to go in and we're going to highlight dining, entertainment, different cultural things like museums and just really try to focus on, what the town has to offer, because nobody else has done this. It's not a common thing. It's Abilene. We're out west. Like, a lot of people are too busy ranching to start shooting YouTube videos, and so there's a niche market there, and we're going to jump on it. And so it's just another avenue of approach to grow Ashley's business and her brand. And
so we actually be the go-to person.
Yeah, she'll be the. We even got a little catchphrase for her videos. It's called "Trust the Very Best."
Nice.
Yeah, it's little
nice
punny,
on wording. Yeah,
little play on words. We got some business cards put together, and ordered some magnets for her car. So free advertising, basically. I mean, well, it's cheap advertising, and so we're just going to launch this and push it, because here's the thing. In 2020, everybody has the ability to grow their income exponentially. And everything kind of goes hand in hand with, no matter what you do, there's a way to utilize it to further the growth of your income. Now, in the past, we had we had factories, and that was the go-to job for a lot of my family, was go get a job at the factory, become a member of the UAW, and you're basically going to be set. You're going to have a great retirement and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not a thing anymore, because unions have ruined the auto industry. It's very difficult to get into the auto industry, and it's even more difficult to maintain a job there, because it's so expensive to maintain labor in the auto industry. So things like that come along, and they end up affecting regular Americans like you and me. And this is what turns out voters. People don't understand now how to build for a retirement. And my perspective is very simple. It's like, okay, Ashley's in real estate. I'm retired. I got nothing but time in my hands. So let's take what she does and amplify it by adding the YouTube channel, utilizing that as free marketing, and doing it all through basically the lens of something completely different that has nothing to do with real estate. But in the end of it, say, and oh, by the way, if you happen to be moving to the Abilene area, or you're looking for an agent in your area, trust the very best. Call Ashley Berry. It's really simple. And this is just going to be eventually another revenue stream. And that's what we're actually going to cover a little bit today, is revenue, money, finances.
And let's start from the beginning, actually. And this is part of the part 6 now, digging out, is now we're going to flip over now to the financial side. And you cannot get where Barry's at, or I am at, without the first building block of financial freedom, in which I think Jeremy will agree on with this, is budgeting, creating a budget.
Yeah. Basically, you have to know where your money's going. If you don't give your money an assignment, then it just kind of, your bank account is a sieve. You swipe a card and you don't think anything of it. It doesn't hurt until you check your bank account. So if you assign your money, I know that I have 2 kids in the house, and it's expensive to feed kids. So I expect to spend $400 or $500 a month on groceries. That's just the reality of it. So why wouldn't I budget that?
As they're growing, they eat more, growth spurts, snacking, than sometimes taking food to school.
We do. That's all we do is school lunches. We don't pay for school lunches, because it's garbage food at a garbage price. Seriously, garbage.
Now with
Quit
budgeting,
feeding your kids that stuff.
Oh yeah, with budgeting though, you have to be completely honest with yourself, and we've talked about this in numerous parts. Is like, really be honest and I don't know how else to say it, just brutally honest to, where do I spend my money at? One day, or here soon, hopefully, when you decide to create your budget, hopefully now, is open up your bank account and look through where your charges are going. You're going to be surprised that, like, holy crap, I spent $300 on beer. No, but that's what happens. When I first did that, I was like, holy crap, I spent $600 driving to San Antonio. I spent $400 this month on beer, partying and stuff. And that's just on the weekends. I don't drink during the week, and I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. No wonder, by the time I'm dead broke within 4 days, and then I have to wait a numerous, biweekly back in the Army days. That's how it was.
Yeah, it was. Well,
Yeah.
and there's still times where I have to go out and be social because I'm married, and that's part of the deal. Is she wants to be social with people, and my first thought is, it's like, great, how much is this going to cost me? So, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal when you go and hang out with some friends at there's a place called the Mill here. It's a
Yeah,
winery.
my wife went there, I think, with your
It's a
wife.
nice place. It's awesome, nice decor and everything. But my God, if you order wine by the glass, forget about it. I mean, you're not getting out of there for less than $40. And I'm like, no, I'll have one glass. That's it. Because the budget is more important, really.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, when we're talking about creating a budget, it's real simple. If you're not tech savvy, you can write it down, which will be better because when you write down, it will be more infused into your brain. Like, oh my God, where's this? Okay, now that I know I have this much, let's do this. And like what my wife and I have been doing, so we noticed that these past few months that we're going over just a tad, maybe 100 or 200 more over our grocery budget. And so I told my wife, well, you know what? To solve this, this now we budgeted $450 for groceries. I was like, why don't we pull that out as cash? And so now she'll have the visual effect of like, oh my God, I only have 200 and something left, and I still have 2 weeks left or whatever. And so that started helping us get back, and it all becomes self-discipline. You got to catch it and you got to fix it right away. If not, it's just going to get carried away and you're just going to lose your goals, which is like building an emergency fund. And I was telling Jeremy, and this is me getting personal, that I was telling him like, oh my God, I just got hit with so much surprising things lately moving here. And I was like, well, let's work on the budget more, and let's just let's cut back on a little few things so we can start building up our emergency funds again.
Yeah, I'm pretty adamant about when I go grocery shopping, because I do most of the grocery shopping because I got the time. Ashley doesn't have the time like I do, so I do most of the grocery shopping, and I'm pretty adamant about it. $100 1 week, that's going to be it. I generally don't go much higher than $100 to $110 per grocery shopping visit, and that's at Sam's Club. So I'm like, this chicken better last, this hamburger better last, because I'm not going again until next week. And that's just the way it's going to be, because we have a budget, we have goals, and I'm just not going to eat my goals away. That's crazy.
Yeah. And so starting a budget right away, I would say the first step, and Jeremy might have different priorities, but to me is your essentials. When you write your budget, make sure that you always have money for the essentials. And that being said, you have to have like money put aside for your mortgage, money put aside, because that without a mortgage, you don't have a home. Water, energy, if you don't want to rely when you pass away on GoFundMe, life insurance. That's one thing a lot of people don't, and it's not that expensive, guys. My wife's life insurance is $27. Mine is $32.
Mine's 20.
Yeah. So
I'm super cheap.
Because you don't want to set your child or even your loved one into financial stress, because your income stops when you die.
Yep. Well, and you know what? We should cover insurance a little bit more to a degree, because there's a proper way to do it and an improper way to do it. So if you're doing life correctly, and this all revolves around finance, if you're doing life correctly and you're managing your money appropriately and you're budgeting and whatnot, you should only be buying term life insurance. You shouldn't be buying whole life, because whole life is so much more expensive than term life insurance. First of all, it's ridiculous. And if you get term life insurance at a younger age, it's relatively cheap. Like you said, $20, $25, $30, $35 a month. That's nothing for, $300,000 worth of coverage. You'll get all that. All right. But so as you go along further in life, if you've been maintaining this discipline on the budget and building your net worth and building your emergency fund and building your retirement fund and whatnot, well, let's say I'm 55 years old and I've got a net worth of 1.2 million. Why do I need life insurance?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my life insurance right there. If you can't afford to bury me for 1.2 million, there's something wrong. So there you go. Life insurance is not a necessity unless you're young.
Yeah, I recently just lost a friend this week from high school, and she passed away from a sudden stroke. at 35.
Wow.
She was thin, but she was born, unfortunately, with diabetes. And so, it was to the point that her health was deteriorating no matter what she was doing, eating right or whatever. One day she woke up blind a few years ago. Like one day, just woke up, couldn't see anything anymore. That was it.
Yeah.
Overnight, done.
It's crazy.
And
I have a soft spot for diabetics. People who are born diabetic, I really feel for them.
Yeah. And then it was to the point, I didn't hear nothing about her for a while. And my cousin wrote me an email saying, hey, did you hear about her? She went to a stroke. I guess supposedly she was on dialysis for the last remaining 2 years of her life. And so her organs were slowly shutting down. And unfortunately, I think it was on Friday is when she passed. Saturday is when she passed. And so that kind of hit me to the core. And I was like, man, I think the next thing I want to talk about is budget and making sure that you have the right coverage. Because, a lot of people, like right now, I just got a share post because of her saying a GoFundMe. She didn't prepare. Yeah. And that should let you know, listeners, you can go at any time. She was 35. And unfortunately, she was born a diabetic, but that doesn't mean that you can go at any time. A car can hit you, sideswipe you, and boom, you're done. And are you going to rely on GoFundMe to take care of your family?
I had a conversation with my brother about something similar to this. And it always starts from a Facebook post. You always see somebody post something on Facebook and you're like, this is so dumb. Well, one of our friends posted something about, if I'm letting you borrow money, just know that really what I'm doing is I'm testing your character. And I thought, yeah, you know what? That's not a bad idea. It kind of makes sense. Like if I need to borrow $20 or something like that, it's a test of character. I'm not going to miss the $20 that much. My brother said something like, well, it's funny because if you have to borrow money, that already tells me everything I need to know about your character. And I went, oh, wait a minute. That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of mean at its core, but it's true is, if you have to borrow money, then that tells me that you didn't plan for anything. And I get it. People can say, well, yeah, but you don't know what it's like to work a minimum wage job. Oh yeah, I do. I've been there and I dug myself out. Yep. Everybody can dig themselves out. There's no way around. You cannot argue that. But yes, and when it comes to money and finances, I hope this isn't one of your points because I'm about to blow this one up. If somebody needs to borrow money and you have a relationship with that person, do not lend them money. Give them money, fine. But don't lend it and expect to get it back and expect the relationship to survive.
It won't.
I can't stress that enough. Don't lend money if you want the relationship to survive. You either give it or you don't have it. And if you don't have it, that's nobody's business. So sorry, I just wanted to go off on that tangent for a second.
And that's another reason why I wanted to talk about budgeting this week today was because, I found myself in a predicament that my wife's vehicle was making some funny noise. We talked about how, and with Jeremy in an earlier podcast, that our car died and we went to the church and everything. But we finally, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of it. The engine light came on. I was like, all right, this is it. I'm done with this. We're either going to trade it in or get rid of it, or we're going to go fix it. And it ended up becoming cheaper to fix it, but it was $2,900.
Yep.
Not a lot of people have that in their savings to be like, man, I think, they'll be like, well, that's when they'll go to like, hey, Jeremy, can I borrow $2,900 to fix my wife's vehicle? No, but that's what happens when you're not prepared. And you're not ready for these kind of, and it can happen to anybody, like, medical bills. If people are not covered with medical coverage, that's another thing. Like, oh man, I remember, and I'm just going to say, I remember a person that was related to me. They were so poor. And this was when I was a lot younger, and they couldn't do the copay. I remember people would come into my mom and be like, hey, do you have $100 so I can go to the doctor? And stuff like that. And that just like, oh my God. And I remember telling myself, I was like, I'm never going to be in that situation. I'm never going to get to that point. And which I did unfortunately, growing up in the military and not really learning about finances, that I was to that point I was borrowing money for stupid stuff like gas, especially when you're getting close to the pay period and you're already dead broke. And it was stupid. And I'm never going to find myself in that situation. So, ladies and gentlemen, budgeting is so important so you can build up an emergency savings. And it's so important to have an emergency savings. If you don't make a lot of money, still put money in savings and forget about it. And if you could just make it up to 5,000, that's good. Keep it and hold on to it until you need it. And if you feel like you can continue on, good. Go up to 10,000. Go up to 15,000. I was up to 15,000 before everything happened. And I'm like, oh my God, I started noticing I'm getting red line, getting close to zero. And I'm like, all right, it's time to rebuild this up again. Mm-hmm. Let's go. But I covered everything and I never found myself in a situation to be like, hey, Jeremy, our car broke down. You have $2,900 I can borrow?
Yeah. Because here's the deal. I will drive out to Eastland to pick you up. That's fine. I will not give you $2,900 to repair your car.
No, but because we should be responsible. And first of all, I wouldn't be doing a podcast if I wasn't in that kind of, that point of my life to be like, I shouldn't be teaching anybody about budgeting if I couldn't do it myself.
Do you remember? You're a movie guy. Uh-huh. Did you ever watch the National Lampoon's movies?
Yeah.
Chevy Chase. And there was one National Lampoon's Vacation, the one where they go to Wally World, where they stop in and visit Cousin Eddie.
Mm-hmm, and, which was what's his name? I forgot the actor's name, but continue on.
So they're sitting there in the scene, and Cousin Eddie asks Clark, could you spare a little bit of money? Clark's, oh, of course, Eddie. How much do you need? Eddie says about $52,000. What does Clark do? He puts his money right back in his wallet. You know how much $52,000 was back then?
Yeah.
Get out of here. But there's a lot of humor to it. But the fact is, like, this is reality. Like, people find themselves in these situations all the time. Here's Eddie's problem. He didn't work. Mm-hmm. He didn't have a job. You remember he was holding out for a management position.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that was in a different movie. But anyways, Eddie was the quintessential non-saver, non-planner type of person. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Even if you're working and you're thinking like, I don't need an emergency fund, trust me, you're going to, because, I have friends now, that are on furlough. They're part of these, and that's why unions fail. He's part of this union that, hey, we're gonna have to furlough you for a while.
Sorry about your
what are you gonna do then if you don't have 5,000 or 10,000 saved up? That can help you go along for these 1 or 2 months on furlough to act like nothing happened. Like,
but what are you going to do when the coronavirus comes along? That's all. I joke, but it's really happening right now where people, there's one guy, he was getting ready to buy a house. They were just a couple of days before closing, and no joke, the stock market took a hit, and he was like, well, I don't have the money now. Mm-hmm. Which is BS. The money is there. It's just that the market took a hit. Unless he lost a bunch of money on options expiring or something like that, most likely it's BS. Mm-hmm. And he just doesn't want to pull the money out right now because the market is down, which is fine. I understand that. But now he's facing the possibility of litigation from the builder. Mm-hmm. All because, he went in with speculation. He didn't have a real plan. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. The coronavirus can do that to you. Ebola can do it to you. SARS can do it to you. The Asiatic bird flu can do it to you. Hell, you could step off of a curb and break your ankle, and that could do it to you.
That's it. You're done. And, it's crazy. And that's another thing. When you build a budget, at least you'll know at hand, especially when you have an emergency fund, is that you have the liquid, not the assumption of like, oh, I might have the cash if I sell these stocks. No. When you're making a firm decision of buying a house or paying off builders or mortgage, you have the liquid, which liquid, ladies and gentlemen, equals cash on hand. Like, hey, here you go. Not, well, let me put 10,000 on this credit card and another 5 on this one. And I think another 2,000 on this credit card. And that's going to even make things a lot worse.
That would be a terrible idea. Mm-hmm. Liquid assets, man. Cash talks. Mm-hmm. I get it, everybody. This is a debit card society. No, cash still talks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when I was at the it's funny, just to vent off a little bit, at the dealership, they didn't think I had that on hand. They're like, well, sir, you can either do this two or the other two. I'm like, no, just give me the whole total price. Tell me how much it would be to get everything fixed. Well, sir,
Oh yeah.
we have this and let's make some payments and, with the 5% interest. Like, no, I don't think you're understanding me. I have the money to pay for everything to get everything fixed. Tell me what the total is.
Yeah. Well, and here's a trick. This is for anybody who's got the money, cash on hand, you got your emergency fund in place, whatever might be, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a place of business, I use this regularly. I not too long ago, my daughter needed braces, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, don't worry about it. We've got these great payment plans. And if you pay for the first 6 months is 0% interest and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what? Why? No, why would I do that? I said, here's what I want. You're going to go back and you're going to figure out the numbers. If I pay you in cash today, you figure those numbers out. You tell me what you're going to give me for a discount because I'm paying in cash today, and then we'll talk.
Mm-hmm.
And they came back and they had reduced the price like $300 because I just paid in cash. And I'm like, now that's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk in and you tell them what you want, you get it done. And then at the end of the transaction, you say, oh no, I'm paying cash.
Mm-hmm.
Money talks, man.
Yep.
Cash talks.
So, ladies and gentlemen, when it goes back to creating a budget, when you get the essentials down, then from there you have your what I so-call entertainment. And unfortunately, micro transactions is killing a lot of people's budgets, which they don't know, when they sign up for all these kinds of things. I wouldn't sign up for all these payments like Netflix or Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and so on and so forth if I knew I didn't have the money for it. Because all that stuff adds up. And then you're like, oh, I cut the cable because I'm saving money because I have all this. Like, are you really? Because your cable bill is $90 and now you're spending $110 on subscription fees.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous how many streaming services there are now. What was that one? There was a market or a network. Excuse me, not a market, a network. There was a network
CBS.
Not too long ago. Was it CBS that announced that they were doing a streaming service? I was like, are you kidding me? Like, come on, dude. Yeah, it is CBS. You're right. There's CBS. Like there's Philo. I don't even know what Philo is. You got Sling TV. You've got Fubo TV. What is Fubo? YouTube has got their own. HBO Now has got a streaming service. Listen.
Oh, Showtime, Stars, everybody now.
Yeah, all this stuff. Like they're making this huge mistake and trying to jump on board with the streaming service. Like, okay, stop. Netflix and Hulu and really Amazon and Apple and Disney are like, those are your top 5. Really, if I'm like, I'm going to pick from those 5. I'm sorry, Philo, you don't stand a chance. Zero chance. Sling TV. Why would I want I just cut the cord. Why would I want TV back?
Yeah.
You just sit there, dude. That's a different. Nope, not getting into the advertising streams on TV. Not doing it.
This is where you learn on a budget where you can cut back, and that's when you being totally honest. Like, oh my God, when was the last time you watched Hulu? When was the last time you did this? Like my wife and I, we don't use it in 30 days. We noticed like, oh my God, we're not watching it. All right, let's get rid of it. Same with your phone. If you understand that, like, man, I'm always at home. I really don't use the internet at home. Is it pointless to have unlimited internet then? If you have Wi-Fi at home?
I guess it depends on what you use the internet for. I have to have an uncapped connection for obvious reasons.
But I'm saying a lot of people don't need it, but they want it,
Yeah.
So that comes to the fine line of needs and wants. Same with internet. Why do you need the 1 gig internet, ladies and gentlemen? Why do you need the 500, the 200, the 300? I could go on forever and how much internet you can buy. If you're not working from home or you're not retired or you're working with media or whatever, there's no need for that high-speed internet. Maybe 100 if you're gaming.
Yeah, I don't know. That's it depends. There's so many different arguments to be had on that side because some internet companies are constantly changing their plans. I mean, my internet company here in Abilene is garbage. They're a hot steaming pile of garbage, but there's some shady stuff that's been done behind closed doors, and they are basically a monopoly, essentially. I mean, there's no real tangible competition. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that, again, that's a different story.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm trying to get at is the money that you can save from this can go to your emergency savings.
Mm-hmm.
It can go to saving for something for your work. You know, if you need a laptop for work and you don't have one, you know, or you can save money for anything. It's discipline and knowing where your money is going, ladies and gentlemen. And it took me a long time to get there. I am so stingy on my budget. I put things in there for every little thing. I have Microsoft on there. I have, I used to have Adobe, but now that my school's paying for it, I don't have that on there anymore.
Adobe as a subscription is stupid anyway.
Yeah, and my school pays for it, so I'm fine with that. But I had to, because I work with music and I work with film. Adobe was an essential tool for me to be successful in my path. And so that being said, when I say my path, that's what the budget is going to come to help you. And that's where I'm going to end this podcast on. When you're creating your budget, you need to start now on this part of digging out is really now laser focusing what your goals are and what you want out of life. Do you want to, be like Jeremy and I, run a podcast, start editing videos and so on and so forth? Or do you work with music? Or do you want to be an independent CPA? Then from there, you have your laser focus when you start building your emergency funds or even your funds that you can go to CPA school without pulling out loans. And it takes time to get there, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not. I guarantee you that, because lessons learned from this individual, I know it doesn't.
As you said something really funny there just a second, and I think you just glanced right over it. The idea of somebody borrowing money to go to school to learn how to be a CPA, that's just laughable.
Yeah.
You're probably getting into the wrong field if you're taking out student loans for this in the first place.
But figuring out your end game, as in like even becoming an entrepreneur, that should be your goal, is getting rid of that 9 to 5. And even being an entrepreneur, at least you have the control to control your hours. It all depends on how successful you want your business to be. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but at least then when you have this budget and you're manipulating it the way that you want it, kind of go towards your end game goal, then things will become a lot easier. And then you'll have that emergency fund. And you're going to be surprised when you're strict on this budget that one day you're going to look and you're going to be like, holy crap, I have $35,000 saved up. Where did this come from?
Well, if you're saving $35,000, you might consider putting that into something a little more growth inducing than a savings account in the first place. That really, I go by the Dave Ramsey method, where you utilize 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. That's my savings account. And so because of that, I know my expenses. It would be probably somewhere around to the tune of $10,000 to $12,000 that I need to have saved in my emergency fund. Anything above and beyond that, I invest it in other places. So, and when you find that that's what's funny about this budget thing in general is when you're budgeting, you'll find that you start celebrating very, very different things. For example, when I really started like just getting down and dirty with the budget and understanding how to utilize money in a responsible manner, all of a sudden I started thinking about where I'm putting my money and how it benefits me. So you become more goal oriented with putting your money into something that grows versus something that's, say, a consumer that you consume. So, I mean, yeah, there's some money you have to consume. Obviously, you have to have a car. In most cases, you have to have food. You have to have insurance. Those are all electricity, blah, blah, blah. Those are all consumer goods. But there's always every month a certain level of a dollar that's allocated specifically to my rental property, because I know that the more money that I put in, the more money I'm going to get out. So when the mortgage is paid off, and here's the thing, I'm looking at this threshold right now where I'm right at that $40,000 level. I'm about to cross the $40,000 threshold on my rental property. that's a big deal to me because I've been just hammering every time I've got
goal.
money.
That was your focus, right? When you created this budget of yours, it's like Jeremy's end game. What he's trying to say was, I want to pay off my rental property, which is a secondary mortgage, and getting to that point is, that's when you start feeling that self like achievement, like, oh my God, I'm $40,000 away from this home being completely mine and not a bank.
Yeah, because you're adding to your net worth. And your net worth, generally, especially when you're purchasing things like homes, your net worth only goes up over time. Your net worth doesn't really go up if you buy a car. Like, yeah, you buy a car day one, say it's a brand new car. Okay, fine. Your net worth just went up whatever the MSRP was. But as soon as you drive it off the lot, it depreciates in value. And every year afterwards, that car continues to depreciate in value. Well, you're just taken away from your net worth. So, I hope a $50,000 car or a truck was really worth your retirement. To me, I think I'll drive a 13-year-old, 14-year-old car any day.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes more sense in the end because, I know where I'm going to be when I'm 70, 75 years old. I'm doing whatever I want, going wherever I want to go. Hell, I'm doing it now.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, you have the freedom to help others editing videos instead of like, oh, I can't do it because I gotta go to work at 7 in the morning.
I gotta go to work tomorrow. No, I'm utilizing my skills for other things and helping other people grow their businesses because I've got a certain set of skills that I took the time and put the energy into developing and growing. And that's what it's all about. It's like, this is why the Digging Out series, the budgeting, this is why we talk about all this stuff, is because you're developing and you're growing skills that you didn't know that you could have in the first place. Because, well, let's face it, man, the previous generation didn't teach us a whole lot about money because they didn't know.
They're uneducated,
and it's not their fault because their parents probably didn't know.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, now there's no excuse for us. We have the internet. And if you use the internet right, which we've talked about before, you can learn a lot. Just YouTube alone will teach you so much. It could teach you how to pay off credit card debt, and within, learning the snowball effect, or, things that you did not know you can learn off the internet. And so there's no excuse for this to be passed down to what you've learned to your kids now, which should be the right way.
YouTube is not, you know what? You can take college courses online for free. You know that?
Yeah, MIT now just said that they're giving out college courses.
Yeah, no, all the big Ivy League schools, you can take their classes online for free. If you want a certificate, yeah, you got to pay for the certificate. And no, you don't actually get college credit. But does college credit even matter today?
No.
Doesn't to me. I don't care. I'd hire somebody off the street before I'd hire a college graduate, because at least the person off the street is grateful for the job. The college graduate's like, but you owe me. No, I don't owe you anything. You're brand new. You're fresh out of school. You don't know anything. Yeah, you might be able to do some trigonometry, but big freaking deal.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Well, one thing I want to focus on before, because I know Jeremy brought up about stocks and investments, and that I want to be part 7 of Digging Out, is learning just not the advanced techniques or anything else like that. That's with your emergency savings is to the point, like, you know what, I can take a little risk, and there is ways to make money without a whole lot of risk. Make money work for you. It's one of the biggest things I was taught, in the Army from one of our XOs, and him, but he taught me, have money work for you. But to get there, ladies and gentlemen, you need to learn how to make a budget. And that being said, I want to end this podcast with just different ways to make a budget. You can make it online. There's Mint, which is free. Mint is a great way, and it if you don't ignore the notifications, it will keep you on track. It will tell you, like, hey, you went $10 this month over groceries. And you're like, okay, well, what did I do differently from last month? And that's on you, on your discipline, your self-discipline, to be like, okay, well, I should never bought that expensive steak then. I'm not there yet in life to order the $40,000 per, $40 pound steak yet. You're not there yet. It'll take time.
Chicken.
Yeah.
Buy the chicken. Chicken and rice is not bad.
No, it's not. And
throw some broccoli in there. You'll get some antioxidants. There's other apps too.
Yeah.
So like Dave Ramsey's got one called Every Dollar, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There's an app that I use all the time, and this one's big for me because have you ever heard of Trim?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Trim is really big for me because my cable company that provides, well, my internet company, they're constantly screwing up and jacking up the bills and messing with it, and Trim will go in and negotiate for you. So my internet bill went from about $76 a month down to $46 a month, and I just did it through Trim. It works. Now, granted, you pay Trim a little bit of money to do the negotiating for you, but dude, I would rather pay Trim 25% of what I would save than have to pay Suddenlink that extra $30 a month. I'm going to save a fortune just on that alone. And they can do it with your phone bill. They can do it with credit cards. There's so many different like bills that you can negotiate, and people just don't negotiate. They don't even know that they have that ability.
Nope, they just think that, oh, just because especially for credit cards, when they read the fine print, or some of them don't, they're just happy they got their credit card in the mail, but they don't know. And when you read these contracts, like, hey, I can actually call them and tell them to lower my interest rate, or cut me back on something.
And don't do it in a complaining method. Like, don't do it with an attitude like you're gonna do this for me, blah blah blah. No, listen, you got to treat the person that you're talking to with respect too, because you got to understand the person you're talking to on the phone. That's their 9 to 5. Like, they're doing the same thing that you're doing. It's just they work for a different company. So treat them with the respect and that they deserve. And you might be surprised at how much you'll get back. Anecdotally, not too terribly long ago, I was pretty frustrated with Amazon's service. Something came up. I needed something. I ordered it. It had to be there like within those 2 days, and it didn't arrive within those 2 days. So I just messaged Amazon like, hey, you guys screwed me over. I needed that item. I don't even remember what the item was. I needed that item. I want to cancel my membership. And it was like, I was just flat out like, I wasn't rude. I wasn't mean. I was just like, you didn't deliver on your promise, and so I want to cancel my membership. Well, what do they do? And is they turn around and they gave me, like, I think a month free. So, I mean, I get it. It's only a month. But if you draw these things to people's attention, especially when you're paying them for a service, and you let them know, hey, your service isn't up to snuff, you're not delivering, they'll make it right. Utilize that, because that's your money. Don't be nonchalant and casual about it. Yeah, I gotta, you know how many people like they go like, well, I have Verizon. Okay, great. What's that do for you? I don't know. My phone bill is really expensive. How much do you pay? Oh, I don't know. I got like, I think it was $300 last month. I'm like, for what? $300 for a phone? I have Verizon service too. I pay it through a prepaid service. Yeah, I don't get the optimized speed, but you know what? I got 4 lines for $100. You're paying $300 for the same 4 lines. Who's the idiot?
Well, they get blinded on well, I got a free iPhone. It's not free.
You're paying for it. Then you're paying. Oh, well, we have insurance for our phones. Really? Insurance for your phone?
If you have renter's insurance and homeowner's insurance, that actually covers your phone.
Really?
Yeah, so you don't need to buy the phone insurance.
So it's just an upsell.
Yep.
It's just a marketing thing. Like, dude, why would you buy insurance for your phone? Here's the thing. I buy used phones. I don't buy new phones. Why would I buy a used phone? Because it's half the price of the new phone. Do I need the phone to be brand new and smell like Foxconn fresh out of the box? No, I don't care about that. In fact, right now, I'd rather not buy a phone that just came from Foxconn, considering all the coronavirus stuff that we're dealing with. I think I'd rather have a phone that was used, get it in, wipe it down with some alcohol swabs, and bam, it's good to go. But you don't have the full experience of unboxing the new iPhone.
Well, no, you ripped it out of the dead man's hand that died from the coronavirus, and there you go. You saved money.
Exactly. And I saved a fortune for doing it. People are crazy. People will pay a premium price for subpar stuff, and it's sickening to me.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you learned that budgeting, you have to be honest with yourself, ladies and gentlemen, and you must have a focus and a goal, and and don't ignore if you decide to do the budget online, and don't ignore the notifications. Seriously, they're there to help you to reach your goals.
You're spot on, and the only thing that I would add is if you just bought a brand new iPhone this year, do some freaking push-ups.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, see you later.